Happy February. Hope you're into the first week here with a good positive attitude. It's important to do that even when things don't go your way. So let's talk about that here for a minute. We are not seeing a rate improvement or a continual gradual rate improvement like we have been the past 2 weeks. Instead, we've seen interest rates reverse and go higher a little sharply over the past 2 days. So what happened? Well, Friday we had the BLS jobs report, and what that showed us was unfortunately an employment number that came in higher than expected. Now, that's a good thing. If the economy is stronger, that's a good thing. But the question is, how real is that number? How good is the BLS really at this data? So let's talk about that for a minute. They came up with 385,000 jobs created as opposed to the 180,000 or so that was estimated. That's a big number. Kind of reflected like similar to a year ago, last January, when there were over 500,000 jobs created, if you remember that, as opposed to a number somewhat similar to this. 180,000 for an estimate. Why is that? Well, January is a population control month. So they lump all of the population control numbers into one month, into January, which includes mostly the migrant labor, is most of that. So any migrant labor that they can track or have record of that entered the labor force, whether from legal or illegal immigration, either one, gets lumped into this 1 month. So tends to skew the numbers, make it look better than it really is, especially if you dive into the household survey. So the employment report's broken up into two pieces. The business survey, that's the number of jobs that were created. That's 385,000, right? That's the business survey. Excuse me, 353,000 was the right number. The household survey measures the unemployment rate, which stayed the same at 3.7%. Within the household survey, though, there are other numbers that talk about, what types of jobs are full-time versus part-time. And there were many more full-time jobs lost than part-times, like over 1.5 million full-time jobs lost, and about 850,000 part-time jobs gained, which shows you there's some underlying weakness in employment, right? More people are getting part-time jobs or multiple jobs to make ends meet, rather than getting higher paying full-time jobs. So we need to take this whole employment or unemployment report with a huge grain of salt, maybe even a whole salt shaker, to be honest with you, because it's January, which is a very tough month because they throw all this population control plus other seasonal adjustments from the holidays and such into December and January, which skew both months. So I don't take it as seriously, apparently, as the market does. So the market looked at that and went, wow, we got the unemployment rate stayed the same at 3.7, and we got a couple 100,000 more jobs than expected. Well, we got a strong economy. That means the Federal Reserve is going to be worried about wage inflation and may not back off on interest rates anytime soon. Unfortunately, that was followed up by a 60 Minutes interview by Jerome Powell over the weekend, where he said that he basically expressed a lack of confidence in inflation coming down far enough, fast enough. Even though it's come down a lot over the past year, we're down to 2.9% on the Fed's favorite measure of inflation, which is the core PCE. 2.9, they want to see that at 2%. So what if we keep dropping, right? What if next month it's at like 2.6 and then the next month it's 2.3? Would that kind of improvement be enough to show Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve that we're on our way to 2% so they can start easing back interest rates sooner rather than waiting until we're all the way at 2%? I hope so. I would much rather see a gradual improvement in interest rates short term, which would gradually, of course, affect long-term interest rates as well and help mortgage rates come down. I'd rather see that gradual improvement than wait for them to see that, okay, now we're at 2%. We hit our magic number, but in the meantime, we crashed the economy. Now we're in a major recession. And we have to reverse course quickly and do a knee-jerk reaction the other direction and drop rates drastically. I'd rather see a gradual decrease for the stability of families and individuals in the United States and their economic security, if you will, rather than a massive drop in interest rates when we hit the wall. So that's my hope. But hopefully we'll see what happens here with the Fed and what they decide to do over the next few months. Jerome Powell did reiterate that there's no way they're going to be dropping the rate in March. So it looks like the first rate decrease may be May 1st or after, depending on if they're satisfied with inflation data coming down. So having said that, let's talk about the charts. Let's take a look at them. This is the mortgage-backed security chart. This is the 10-year treasury. As you can see, the yield had been dropping for a week and a half or so nicely, but then the last 2 days has shot up and they've broken above, the 10 years broken above multiple ceilings of resistance, right? Including 25-day moving average, the 50-day moving average, the 200-day moving average. And now it's heading towards the 100-day moving average with plenty of room there to get even worse over the next few days. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but that looks to be the case. The universal mortgage-backed security, this is the bond that measures, that directly influences, right, the mortgage rates. 30-year mortgage rates over the last couple of weeks had been gradually improving. This is the opposite of the other chart. Remember, this is price. So as price goes up, yield and rate come down. We'd seen a gradual improvement in price. In the last 2 days, it's fallen apart. And we have room to go before we hit the 200-day moving average below us, with worse rates as a result. So this week, yeah, not probably a great time in interest rates. If you do have somebody who's looking to close this week, you may want to lock them today quickly, because it could get worse over the next few days, and it may take a few weeks for it to come back around and go the other direction. Or, that's very possible. Or we could be on the beginning of more of a downward slope here until we start seeing the Federal Reserve get more confident and start expressing more confidence in being able to drop rates, hopefully by May. So that's where we're at today. If you have other questions about this, please continue to reach out to me with questions. Call me, email me, what have you. Follow me on Instagram. The Bill Zimmerman is where I'm at there. And you can find recordings of these videos on YouTube at Guiding You Home, Bill Zimmerman. So subscribe to my channel there. You'll be able to reference these later for consumption or to share with clients as you move forward. But let's make it a great week in real estate.